And certainly our faith in God would then carry us through the rest. That's the Waukegan that I know. That's the Waukegan that I lead from. And that's what I apply all my skill sets to.
I usually upload Wednesdays, and that'll be kind of the premiere of this season that's coming up.
Okay.
So I was thinking November 6th dropping it. It comes out on YouTube. I kind of promote it a bit on Instagram, and I haven't really gotten into the Facebook game, but I've thought about, starting to post on there. So
yeah, I think what I'll do is post it to my Facebook page.
Okay.
And then that way we'll have it.
Yeah, okay. I want to pick your brain a bunch,
Sure.
But it's also a big part of this. We wanted to get to know the behind the scenes Sam,
Yeah.
kind of, you're up, how you came up, and how you kind of ended up where you are right now. So I did I did some digging, pertaining to your backstory, your background.
Oh yeah.
And I saw you were born and raised in Waukegan, which right away was something that I did not know about.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting, because you do think, you look at these, politicians are kind of like important people, within the district, the boards or whatever, and you don't really think firsthand that they grew up where you grew up. So tell us a little bit about growing up here, how things were back then.
Okay. All right. Are we rolling now?
We are rolling. Yeah.
Right,
Just
no
kind of
problem.
got right into it.
So my story. Here's my story, and I always tell this story about the backstory to the story.
Mm-hmm.
That's so the backstory to the story is that my parents migrated from the south to the north. My mom, my dad moved from Alabama, the state of Alabama, a little small town called Cortopa, and my dad was from another small town called Demopolis. They moved up to Chicago, Illinois. Then from Chicago, they moved to Waukegan. Here in Waukegan was my aunts, my mom's siblings, and they moved here. And then life begins with my mom, my dad, and their young family. Roughly a year after I was born, my dad gets killed. So now my mom is here with her young family, and moved into that single mom role.
Mm-hmm.
And she had to, pivot from her husband not being there, and certainly the crisis that she had to encounter with him being dying. So there's a couple of ways a person can go, and they can sit back and sometimes fall into that depressionary stage and just let life roll by. Obviously, that just wasn't who my mom was, certainly with her young family. She went into the protective mode in providing for her family. And that's where she's at. And I can say that's kind of where my mom's at today. And while it's not an unusual story, it is our story. So from there, my mom, we moved into public housing. I think I was right around that 5-6 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up on what we call the Waukegan south side of town. The south side of town consists of, then it was Genesee, Utica now, formerly Utica, today is MLK, McAllister, Helmholtz, Lenox, Wadsworth, Prescott, 8th Street, May Street, all of that's considered, part of the south side of Waukegan.
Mm-hmm.
Geographically, let's go from, you want to go east of Jackson to the lake,
Mm-hmm.
basically south of Washington to 10th Street.
Yeah.
That's considered the south side.
Correct.
All right?
Right off Sheridan Road.
Yeah, right off Sheridan Road.
Yeah.
So Me being, I look back, I kind of had that entrepreneur spirit even then, because I first started helping, helping moms put their groceries in the cars at Madonia Brothers grocery store, which was on a Family Dollar store, probably as you grew up. And they would give us a dime, a nickel, a quarter. We'll have money in our pocket.
Yeah, just for helping out.
Just for helping out. That's kind of started my customer service experience. Then from there, paper boy. I was a paper boy, so I had to deliver papers. And understand, man, those Wednesday and Saturday papers were extremely heavy. But that showed me a commitment, for one. Two, again, customer service again. And you get rewarded because back then I had to collect the weekly subscriptions.
Got it.
That's the word, the subscriptions they use today.
They had to pay you.
They had to pay you,
yeah.
and now part of paying me, I received my kind of salary from that. So I had to be very charismatic of how to make sure that I collected whatever that, I think it was $1.50 per week. So from there, I moved to, I was called the brush boy. So you go to the barbershop and you get out of the chair and there's hair on your back. Well, that was me with the brush. Right now, the barbers do that, but I was the guy. When you got out of the chair, I did your back, make sure I got your coat, gave it to you. Always looking for what? That tip.
Yeah. A bunch of jobs that are no longer a thing. Paperboy for sure.
Yeah. So, those jobs, they're not there anymore, but people have moved to the digital, of course.
Correct.
And then I guess the most famous, I'm most famously known for my job at the Waukegan Fruit Market. It's called today, but it's called Pete's Fruit Market.
Got it. Is that the one off 10th Street right
Yes,
there?
the one on 10th and Lewis. So that was Pete's Fruit Market originally. And I started there when I was 13 years old. How do I get that job? And I spoke with Pete about this, and he told me, and I didn't know this. So he said, I came to him 3 times asking to work for him. He said, the first time I told you no. The second time I told you no. The third time I said, this guy's just so persistent.
Yeah, won't give up.
Won't give up. And I became the onion and potato bagger. So now, go to the store, you see the onions and potatoes in the bag.
Yeah.
Where during the time I was working at Pete, the wholesaler would sell to the retailer, which was Pete, 100-pound bag of potatoes, 50-pound bag of onions. You had to make your own bags. Well, I was that guy. Peter dropped a 100-pound bag of potatoes right by the scale. I had to go get the onions, and you had to measure 5 pounds. I got so good, I can tell you right now what's a 5-pound bag and a 10-pound bag of potatoes.
You just eyeball it.
Eyeball it, and kind of you feel it's like, because the goal was I need 2 sacks of 100-pound potatoes done right away because Saturday's coming up, and that was just what you needed. So that's what I did. I was like, get them done, man. And it's funny. It brings back memories. You get them from Chicago, and some of those bags, man. Chicago had mega rats. The rats would eat through because they thought it was a meal. Man, sometimes you get them, it's like, whoa. Scared the living daylights out of me. But that was the gig. So I learned at an early age about being responsible, about commitment, and about having money in your pocket.
Yeah, that was always the goal.
My purpose was I wanted to go to school and when you go to school and you get your lunch, then you see that way you can get some chips, a pop, whatever.
Yeah,
I wanted to be that guy in that line. So I provided that for my sister and I. Jackie had 50 cents. Back then, it was 50 cents was a lot. You can get a lot with 50 cents.
Yeah. Not the case anymore.
No, not the case anymore. So,
then.
moving forward, was able to graduate from Waukegan East High School. I'm a Bulldog. Yay. Now you guys are Waukegan High School. It was a big rivalry then.
Yeah, was it the Bulldogs and the Raiders?
Yes,
or something like that?
It was Bulldogs was So the Bulldogs were at the Jackson Street campus. The Raiders were at the Brookside campus.
Got it.
So from there, I graduated and attended a historically black college called Central State University. And what an eye-opener there. You know, you're talking about a kind of urban, suburban young man going into higher education and seeing people of color who are doctors, lawyers, successful businessmen, engaged in social equality. That was an experience, man. And I just love being around that environment, you know. So was able to graduate in '89 from there, came back to Waukegan, you know, for the American dream. Started certainly with family, got married, 2 children, worked for Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, City of Waukegan, Allstate Insurance Company, and then ultimately opening up my own insurance agency, and started my what I call my public servant career as a public servant. Commissioner on the Waukegan Housing Authority Board. That elevated me to being the alderman, being voted in as an alderman in 1999. From 99 to 2017, I was an alderman. In 2017, obviously elevated to the mayor of Waukegan. And I have certainly enjoyed this ride of being mayor, being alderman, being back into my city, and giving my time, my energy, my skill, and certainly my commitment to making it the Waukegan of tomorrow. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I'll say this. I've had a couple people come on here and talk about how growing up, for them, it was always like, I want to get out of Waukegan. I got to find the way out. I got to get out. And then as you progressively get a little older, it's like, this is home, and this is what I want to give back to, you know? And I feel like you kind of had a bit of that. So I'm kind of interested in whether or not you ever felt like, I got to get out of here, or if it was always to give back.
Well, you know what? So graduated from college, unbeknownst to me, I thought everybody came back. I really did. So, and I had a golden objective. Well, certainly, growing up in public housing, you know, I always wanted a home. I always wanted a house for me and my siblings to call ours. You know.
Yeah.
The friends that I had, all of them, certainly had mom and dads, and they had a home. I wanted that. So one of my motivation was to graduate, come back home, buy a house for my mom, me and my brothers and sisters to live in and say it's ours. And that was my first home at 405 McKinley Avenue. You know, big yard, you know, big house, and that's ours. And I think that's the American dream of anybody.
Oh, yeah.
And certainly
something to call yours.
Something to call yours. So it didn't necessarily plan out that way, but it worked. It worked out as my motivation. To answer your question, to come back home, I wanted to come back to Waukegan. I certainly wanted to be. I wanted to be this big business tycoon, fly all over the world, make deals, but give motivation to young men and young ladies about it's not where you're from or where you live, but it's how you live and the commitment that you have in being successful. And with that in mind, the American dream, the Lake County dream, the Waukegan dream is possible. And if you take a look at Waukegan as a whole, we are a city of immigrants, and we're a city of those who come from a place to come here for that American dream. And what is the American dream? A good place to live, safe place to live for your family, certainly a good job to provide for your family, an outstanding educational process so your children can get that skill set or that educational learning so they can not only fulfill the American dream, but then they can realize that American dream as they're going through that process. And that's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's not black, that's not white, that's not male, female, not Latina. That's the dream. That's the mission.
That's everybody's
So,
dream.
I said to myself, how do I help people achieve that mission? And that's where the public servant comes in at. I don't think government is there to give you a handout. It's supposed to give you a hand up. Pete used to always tell us, if you treat the customer right, the customer treats you right.
Mm-hmm.
I have the same philosophy with voters, with taxpayers. Treat them the way they need to be treated and want to be treated. Provide them with the level of service that is necessary for them to be successful.
Correct.
Now, that level of service change.
Uh-huh.
You're a Latina. I just saw your dad. You're probably second, maybe third generation Latina. Well, what your father needed is not what you needed. You said earlier that a lot of your friends will used to talk about how to get out of Waukegan. You know why they want to get out? Because there's nothing here that's holding them here. I want to prepare the Waukegan for tomorrow. So you, your brothers, your friends, your family as you move forward, you're going to want to call this home because of maybe it's the nightlife, maybe it's the opportunity, maybe it's the educational process. That's part of those who are public servants, from city government
Mm-hmm.
to the educational government to the county government, and then the resources, the necessary wraparound resources that's needed for our community to be that place to call home.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And that's where I think that's part of my responsibility, which motivated me to this mayor's position, what it can and cannot do.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting that you say that, and you kind of mentioned, with the voters and all that, and what you want people to feel like they can get out of, their mayoral candidate or whatever. So I kind of want to touch on this. I kind of heard you touch on it a bit, and it was kind of eye-opening. The fact that we got a 7% voter turnout. So I kind of, crunched the numbers a little bit. So there's roughly 90,000 people living in Waukegan. I think about 20% of them aren't eligible to vote. They're under 18. So just that, I think we land somewhere at like 65,000.
Yes.
You take 7% of that, that's less than 5,000 people. So you hear the percentage, it sounds crazy, but you hear the actual number. You're telling me less than 5,000 people are pretty much dictating what happens in the city and who can help out, with some of those things that are happening in the city. And that doesn't really sit right with me. So a big part of this, I think, was for that to kind of, guide those people towards voting, towards going out there and actually doing it, because it's important.
Yeah, I say this. See, the voting process, as I look at it today, is what motivates people to vote. On the national stage, what's motivating people are the commercials, and the commercials that each candidate is trying to sell themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. So that's on every 15 seconds.
Yeah, every YouTube ad.
It's every YouTube app. So that sparks voter turnout. So by the time November 6th gets here, voters are just burnt out on, it's almost like, and if I offend anybody, please excuse me. I love enchiladas. I love enchiladas with the mole sauce. I can eat them all day.
And now we're talking, yeah.
But after 2 days of eating enchiladas, man, you just like, oh man, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Give me something else.
Can't do another plate of
You can't do another plate, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's happening with this political. By November 6th, people have seen more commercial ads about politicians. Well, some are good, some are bad, some are nasty. They're just burnt out. Now you move right into a local election. I'm tired. I'm
Yeah,
just fed up.
correct.
So that has a whole lot to do with it.
I can
So
see that.
so what we do on what we call off elections, we have to be very creative. The creativity comes in doing things like this. Continue to motivate people. Identify what makes people motivated to come out and vote for you, more particularly in the election cycle. So here's what I started doing. Voter turnout in Waukegan is important. So let's stop talking about Sam specifically for mayor or somebody else for mayor. Talk about voter turnout in Waukegan. Voter turnout in Waukegan needs to be there. Here's why. The grand scheme of things is this. The politicians who make decisions on the national and state level, they give the resources where people turn out because they think it's important. If you don't turn out, they're going to say it's not important.
Yeah.
Example, state roads in Waukegan is Green Bay Road, Sheridan Road, which is actually 137, 120, and Grand. We call them Belvedere, but it's Route 120. We call it Grand, but it's really Route 132. And I think Green Bay, I forget his one song. So those are state routes. Those, when you see those roads in bad condition, it's not the city's responsibility, it's the state. The state says, okay, Waukegan's voter turnout is only 2%. They don't care about their city. Let's put it to some place that does.
Yeah, see, that's
Gurnee,
huge. Yeah.
And I'm using these examples now. I'm not saying this to literally be true. Lake Forest, Gurnee, Vernon Hills. So you say, well, y'all not doing anything. Well, because they said it's not important to you.
Yeah, and you're reflecting that through
You're
voting.
reflecting it through the voting turnout.
Through not voting.
No, again, that's a component. Your state representatives, your state senators, your state reps, they're your liaisons to a lot of those departments from a state level. County, they're your liaison. They're supposed to go back in which they do. But it's hard for them to say Waukegan cares when they say, well, your voter turn. Nobody cares in that town about what's going on. Yes, they do. So they got to fight harder and harder and make a much more difficult plea to those departments to give funds to our school district, to our roads, to Illinois Department of Transportation, to the Social Security office. Because they're saying, man, they don't care about Waukegan. We do care about.
We do.
Now, remind you, in this community, we are working class. So we don't have time to always look at an ad, read this. We're always doing what? Working and trying to provide for our children. So sometimes those things fall behind. So what do we rely on? We rely on people like yourself. Angel. Why? People listen to you. Man, Angel said, listen, Sam he's a good guy. We got to turn out to vote. Fernando says on his podcast, we got to turn out to vote. So now you become those leaders on the block. You become the leaders, at the, with your prospective endeavors, whatever space you're in. It could be at church. It could be, at the club. It could be, at the job. You become those leaders. So we need you to be the ones knocking. You're the new 15-second advertisement every time you're talking about it. That's all. We just have to shift of where we have these conversations and shift who's having these conversations. My job is to, as a candidate, is to get to you, says, hey, I need to be on your podcast. You have 2,000 people listening to you. They need to know what's going on. Why? Because that shifts into, when I become mayor, now I'm beholding to Angel and Fernando. Listen, when I make a plea about what streets we're going to do, Angel's 2,000 podcast member says, Washington Street needs to be done. Everybody, stop. Let's get Washington Street done. When I get ready to go to talk to the governor, the United States Senator, United States Congressman, potentially talk to the Speaker of the House or the President, the Vice President, I have to take back Fernando, take back Angel, take back Ministers Alliance, take back, my county board representative. This is what they're saying to me. This is why we need these funds. That's critical.
Oh, yeah.
To this voter turnout. So the voters start seeing that, okay, we start seeing these movements going on. They start seeing action being done. Now they're motivated to vote. I look at them as customers. If you give the customer what they want, they give you what you want. That's the only way. Not as a voter, as a customer.
As a customer.
And that's why it's so important that we talk about this and be real and talk about it and be authentic. Not commercializing, I'm running for mayor of Waukegan and I want your vote. No. Hey, man, I know Washington Street is bad. I hear you. We're going to get that done. I know our educational system has some flaws in it. We're going to get that done. Now that you've made that commitment, they need to see action.
You guys are on fire, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, every time I have conversations, my goal is to kind of teach and educate people on this process.
Yes.
Because they see one thing. They see these national ads, vote, 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 then it drops.
People don't really know, right?
Then it drops off. It drops off something bad, and that's why we have to be
We have to be more educated. We have to, have this information, all the communities.
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I mean, I didn't know half of the stuff that he's, or mostly all the stuff
Yeah.
that he's saying, to be honest.
That's true too. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't even know when, the mayor elections and all that take place. And, I didn't even know it's like right after the presidential elections. And
Dude, we're done. We don't have the money to compete with 15-second ads for a small window.
yeah, I wanted to ask you something that you kind of touched on a little bit, and that's pretty much what the city or what the mayor controls versus what they don't control. I mean, just you saying the whole thing about the roads and stuff like that, that was something that I had no idea on. Yeah, exactly. So
your city government goes like this. So in Waukegan, the mayor is directly responsible for city government operations, period.
Mhm.
So if it's not city government, if it's not police department, fire department, public works, we have a utility. Most people don't know our utility is water. That's an actual utility, like lights, gas, water. Water's a utility. Your city operates a utility very successfully. What don't we? Park District, that's not the city of Waukegan's responsibility. They have their own board, their elected board. School district, that's not the city of Waukegan. They have their own board who's elected, who's responsible. The executive director for the Waukegan Park District operates and runs the Park District. Our parks are amazing. We have some of the most amazing parks on the face of this earth. Our educational system, superintendent of schools, operates and manages the school district. The mayor, and I'm going to say myself, Sam Cunningham, certainly from 2017 to 2021, I operated city government. So police department, fire department, public works, water plant. That's kind of animal shelter. That's city government in a nutshell. It started February 25th, 2017. The next re-election is February 25th, 2025. That's the primary. So why is it important? We got to get to the why. We are a minority-majority community. What does that mean? Between Chicago and Milwaukee, this is Latina, African American, is the majority population. Latinas, I think, is around 60%.
yeah, that sounds
Roughly
about
60.
Right. Yeah.
African Americans, 17, 18. Caucasian white, 17, 18. Combined African Americans and Latina, that's majority. Majority minority community. That's huge. It's huge in the fact that that's unprecedented, outside of the walls of Chicago. In Lake County, Waukegan, Illinois is the largest community south of Cook County.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Largest
the ninth,
city in Lake
the
County,
the
yeah.
largest city south of Lake County Road. We're the ninth largest community in the state,
In Illinois.
in Illinois.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
On the northern part of the state of Illinois, this is the largest community. People don't understand. That's huge. We have roughly, under the census tract, 90,000, but what we service roughly about 125,000 people. That's a lot. So, what is that translation? What does that translate into in operating the city? Census. Why the census tract is so important? The census tract is important because for every person that is accounted for, federal and state dollars is attached to that. So we are attached to 90,000. So we're losing dollars of a roughly 90, 125, what is that?
35,000.
35,000. The service that we provide doesn't change. We still have to provide service for that 125,000. That's why we promote census tracts so much, because we get X amount of dollars per person from the state for your school district, in services that come into Waukegan that's needed.
So we're servicing 125,000 people with the resources for 90,000
There you go.
people, which, I mean,
Don't make sense, right?
don't make sense.
But because we have, and we've done a real bad job. When I say we, us, I'm going to say politicians. The profession is politicians. But as a public servant, we've done a real bad job of explaining this to our customers. We expect for them, you should want to vote. You should want to take the census because it's your duty. No. Men, understand. My mom had 3 children, single parent mom. She's going from 2 8-hour jobs and watching kids grow up to become teenagers. I don't have the time to do nothing. And my mom was not alone in that. How many other single parent moms did you know? And heck, nowadays, dual parents. Compounding that if your immigration is not there. Compounding if you're, if you're disabled. There are a lot of factors that go into all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
How do we bring them home? And we can bring them home, and that's where the community comes in at. Thank God for my mom. While she was at her 2 8-hour jobs, we had Miss Bertha Handy on the north, Miss Sis McLean on the south. You had Miss Tucker on the east and Miss Lewis on the west. That was the turkey shoot. So if we got out of line, all those eyes is on us to help my mom rear her children.
Yeah, takes a village.
Takes a village. That exists in, so we talk about immigrants. Let's talk about the great immigration. The great immigration didn't start with Latinos now. It started post-World War II. Go back to your history. When Hitler was just doing some ugly things in Europe to Croatians, Polish, Armenians, Jewish, all of those small countries over there.
Came out west.
They came to America. That was the great immigration. It started then. Waukegan's history, take a look at Waukegan's history. That's where it started. Then the great migration from the south to the north, African Americans. Then the immigration of Latinos and primarily Mexicans. Mexicans in 80s. We had some Mexicans early on, but not the numbers that came in 80s. Probably maybe your grandparents. It could be some of your parents, depends on when they had children.
Yeah, I think my parents 84, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, so 84.
Yeah, my grandparents about the same.
So that was the great for Waukegan, from the mid 80s, from 80 to about 90, 92, I mean, boom, man, our population just ballooned. So when they talk about immigration,
70s.
My parents were born in the late 70s.
okay, so
They were born here, so yeah.
so your grandparents migrated. I mean, immigrated here. So you're third generation.
Third generation.
So in third generation, we're gonna talk about that a little bit, but let's stay focused on this right here. We have a system in Waukegan that America don't have. We know how to handle our immigrants. We've had practice. We have social agencies set up already.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're talking about how to handle immigrants coming from the border, from Texas, our systems are in place. But here is the challenge. We have it set up for the ones that are here. Now you add 5,000 or 6,000 more people to that, you're gonna bust that balloon. So now the agencies that handle those things, and forget your mano a mano, your HASAs, your Catholic charities, and then even from your school districts to your townships, anybody that handles the services that come along with, whether it be migration, immigration, disability, we have those, they're in place, but they need funding. Where does that funding come from? Census tract. Census tract helps those funding.
So it all leads back.
It all leads back to then voter turnout. If you don't turn out to vote, then they say, well, you guys don't need it because you don't turn out to vote.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. We have to take it back to the root cause of this. We do care in Waukegan. We always have cared. You're third generation. You think your mom and dad, your grandparents didn't care about your mom and dad? Yes, they did. They wanted a better educational process. I don't have to worry about if I go to school and they ask for my social security number, if they ask for my name, where I come from, is they gonna send it? You don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that. Your grandparents did, or your mom and dad. You don't have to worry about translating for your mom and dad because they didn't know the language, or they didn't know whatever it may be, whatever the situation may have been. You don't have to worry about that. And they didn't want you to worry about that. My mom did not want her children to worry about working 2 8-hour jobs because she made sure you went to school every day, get a good quality education. If you didn't go to college, you went to a trade, vocational, or go to the armed forces. Working class people doesn't mean that we're less than. We want a good quality education for our children, a safe neighborhood, a good job. That's what we want. And certainly our faith in God will then carry us through the rest. That's the Waukegan that I know. That's the Waukegan that I lead from. And that's what I apply all my skill sets to, because I need another Fernando, another Angel, another Sam to come out of all of this in this minority majority community, in our working class whites. Hey, we all got the same problem. Let's be clear to that.
Correct. I've got a question kind of leading back to all this a little bit, and it's regarding the fact that you were already a mayor. It's a 4-year term, correct?
Yes.
So you kind of got the brunt of the pandemic. You know, it was ending kind of towards all that. So it's kind of tough to look back at that and say, oh, well, you know, this is what I could have done differently, or
Yes.
this or that, just because of all the factors that came into play because of it. But is there something that maybe you've learned since then?
Oh,
Is there things that, you know, that you look back on and you're like, oh, well, you know, because like anything, there's a learning curve to anything.
listen,
So-
man, I tell, and I say this humbly, I'm better today than I was yesterday. Did you learn? Hecky, yes, I've learned. You know, I want to touch on a little bit about my mayoralship. And I'm a guy who don't, excuses are tools of incompetence, use to build monuments. Those who use them seldom amount to anything. I used to say that when I was pledging. And I say it over and over, and it is. I can't give excuses. Did we have a pandemic? Yes, we did. Did the world, not the city, not the county, the state,
Yeah,
the world shut down, everybody.
The world shut down.
We had to pivot from running and operating a city in the normal sense to surviving, saving people's lives. And I didn't want to use it as an I did not. It's the job, right? You know, I walked in the office. I had a negative $3 million deficit. Didn't panic. Hey, we grew up on the negatives, right?
Yeah.
We know how to manage through.
Don't check the account. You won't know it's negative. You know.
I like that one. So, you know, you learn how to manage through. What else did we encounter? We encountered a sinkhole. Remember the sinkhole on Washington Street where it caved in? It went 50 feet deep, 200 feet diameters. Wow.
This was on Washington, and where you're ringing a bell now.
Washington and West, right in front of the Lilac Ledge.
Yeah.
Remember,
Okay.
there was a sinkhole. I'm at a mayor's conference. Mayor, we have a sinkhole. I was like, okay, we got a sinkhole. No, Mayor. The entire street caved in.
That's
You know, you have that. That took, normally an operation like that takes about a year and a half, a good 6 months planning, a year and a half to complete. We had to get it done within, this is the main artery to our community. No, you know, no sweat there. Certainly police involved shooting. Wow. A young man who I just didn't know his family. I grew up with his family. The young lady, her great-grandma used to babysit me. We talking on the phone, and I'm on the phone with her parents and her. We're talking to her grandmother. We're saying, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Yeah, I'm like, so this was, but what we did not have any civil uprising. So Reverend Jesse Jackson, Mr. Crump, in my office, they said, you know what, Mayor? You're the first city in the state, in the country, who did not have a civil uprising. It wasn't because of me. It was because of my relationship with those families. Our ministers alliance, being a part of that. We all came together. Hey, we can't have this, but we're going to objectively take a look at it. And if there's something wrong, we're going to deal with it. And that's the Waukegan that I know. You know, at that time, Operation Push, one of their senior level leaders was up. Bishop Grant came. We all talked about it, talked to the families, spoke with Lake County State's Attorney's Office, spoke with the police department. Hey, we're trying to, you know, just shift through all of this madness, but we didn't have a civil uprising because of Waukegan. What a proud moment, Waukegan. What a proud moment. Move from there. You remember the explosion that happened at that plant?
yes.
Which took the lives of,
on Sunset.
yes, on Sunset. All of this happened pre-COVID. And then I get a call from the governor's office. We're shutting down all of our cities. I mean, shutting down all this. Tell everybody who owns a business they got to shut their doors.
Yeah. For 2 weeks, we thought, or for a week
Oh.
or something, we thought.
It was a week. It was a week.
Yeah.
We're going to do it for 7 days so we can see where we're at. Next thing you know, no, we're not opening up. No, we're not opening up. No, we're not opening up. No, we're not opening. This is going, I'm like, so now you're on the phone with the president's office, the governor's office, Lake County Health Department's office, then the city, every day. This took up our time, certainly my time, from late 19 to all 20. We started moving past this toward 2021. And today, we're still in COVID protocol to some degree. It certainly wasn't, we're not where we're at pre-COVID. We're not.
Mm-mm.
Our mindset, our thing. And COVID truly had an effect on the population of this world, this state, this county, this city. It had a major effect on it, man. Mentally, physically. And I was literally trying to find a place to put bodies in. The coroner's office, if you know where City Hall is at, and there's like a little alleyway right there with City Hall, between the City Hall and coroner's office, they came to me and they said, Mayor, we need to bring another refrigeration system right here, and we need to do it now to put bodies in. You know, it was just unprecedented of how this process of COVID was. We had to manage through that, and yes, it did take away some of my ability to be the leader that some people really wanted me to be, and be in people's places of business and homes and different events. That was out. But let's talk about pre-COVID. Here's what we were able to do. And here's why we were so significant. So part of marketing and promoting your community, we call it a comprehensive plan. It's really a marketing plan for a community. They call it a comprehensive plan. Guess what our comprehensive plan dated back to before we updated it? 1980. You laugh, right?
Yeah, 40 years later. Yeah.
I laughed. I'm like, are you kidding me? No wonder we're living in the past. It had a mayor. The mayor who signed it was, the name was under, I think was Mayor Bob Sabanjan. Was it Bob Sabanjan or Bill Morris? I forget. But 1980, it had the mayor who was a mayor when I was a kid. I said, dude, no wonder we're functioning in the past. No wonder business. So what a marketing plan does, or a comprehensive plan does, when a business want to come here, they look at your marketing plan, they look at your demographics, they look at where the opportunities are, they look at the various, what's going on in your city, the vision the city has. That's what that is. Next. So we updated that. Hooray. $450,000. It was a great investment. And that's what I call it, an investment. The next thing we did, I said, well, all right, who has the list of all the streets have been done over the last 5 years?
Nobody.
I mean, you don't. Well, we know it, Mayor, but it needs to be on paper so people can see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not rocket science. That's just planning. We put together a capital improvement plan. Capital improvement plan identifies all of your assets. What are our assets? The buildings that the city owns, City Hall, Police Department, those are our assets. What else are our assets? Water plant. We have 360 miles of streets that we maintain, that we're responsible for. We should know what's good, what's bad, what's ugly, right? That is a comprehensive plan. It lays all these things out. Then it identifies
log of everything.
Then it identifies a price of what it takes to upgrade that and then maintain that. Capital improvement plan. Every 5 years. You like to have one 10 years out, but a minimum every 5 years. These are the things that leaders do. So I'm like, okay, we did that. Now we go and say, what do we need? We brought this amazing truck in from a engineering company who the current mayor is using now. She's supposed to. And he had this truck that he used. He surveyed all of our streets. And in this truck is some kind of gadget, I'm gonna call it, where it can identify a good street, a medium-sized street, and a real bad street, and then spit out a report. All of these things should have been done when I left, when I came into office. They weren't, and I'm not knocking those mayors. Hey, that's that Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Allstate Insurance Company, Metropolitan Insurance Company, business plan. You're a business guy. I need a business plan if I'm going to get a loan.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That's just where I was at.
All those experiences that you've had.
You bring those skills. Uh-huh. You bring all of those skills and those commitment to the position. We're able to do that. Now, funding. We got to go off of funding. I call it investing. Invest in your city. The park doesn't invest in our parks. Our school district, some will disagree. invest in our children. We must invest in our streets, invest in our water system, invest in the tools that's needed to provide the level of service that is expected from our citizens, business community, and other business partner. That's what this is. Well, you're spending money. No, I'm investing money. Now, hopefully that investment can be backed up by the plan that you have, on the vision that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, the Northern Navy Pier, that's who we are. I don't want to be Navy Pier. I want to be the minor leagues at our beach. We should have 5,000 people on the beach every weekend, with activities on the beach every weekend. We were able to achieve a entertainment center coming to our city. You call it the casino, I call it entertainment center. Why? I don't need a gambling house. I need something that's going to attract people to come to my community. Genesee Theater, we invested in that 20 years ago. Why? To attract people to come down. That's tough. It's tough to do, to bring people in. And that's what we did. So now the casino is up. What's next? What's the next project? The next project is continuing with our water. So here's why water is so important. You cannot live without water, period.
Fact. I mean,
you can go without food, but if you have water, you can survive. City of Waukegan has its own water plant. We are able to produce 11 million gallons a day out of Lake Michigan. We understand it takes about 5 to 6 million gallons a day for our current market, which is City of Waukegan, Heather Ridge, Beach Park. I think we got a couple others that we supply water to. I want to sell water going further out west. They're going to need it. I want to position ourselves. That's why we invested $16+ million into upgrading our water plant. We tee it up. It needs to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing is,
I mean, part of that teeing it up was kind of like you said with the plan for the roads,
boom.
right? You know, we do that. We can show them what we need. They can see it. It's on record, and then the rest just kind of falls in line. You know, the mere fact that you can tell you have been to school, you understand, and that's not smart planning. That's 101, right? Correct.
You know, I can't have a podcast unless I have a studio.
Yeah.
It's just I can't play music unless I have the instruments. So here is why it's key for us to tee things up for the future. Now we got the casino, but you know how long we have been vying to get a casino in Waukegan? Since 1993.
Long time.
It takes a long
happen.
But it takes a long time for these projects to develop. Mm-hmm. Here's my other. Talking about the future. Market Street. You know what Market Street is at?
Market Street.
All right, yeah. You know where the bridge is at Belvedere.
Yes.
You take 120,
yes.
You can go left to go to the beach. You can go right. That street is called Market Street.
Okay.
That right there is the next big casino.
Really?
We want to clean that up so you can have lakefront property. If you get a chance,
that would be beautiful.
If you get a chance, both of you, ride down there and you can see Lake Michigan better than you can even at the beach.
Mm-hmm. Because, and I'll kind of interrupt you here a little bit. You were touching on, Navy Pier North or whatever, right?
Yes.
So we've got it. We've got a beautiful, I mean, I wouldn't say it's beautiful now, but
yes, it is.
The potential's there. You know what I mean? Like you said, clean it up a bit. That street there, it's not Genesee. Is that Market Street that you're talking about? The last street right before, I think it might be Sheridan. It might be Sheridan.
No, that's Market Street. The last street, we call it below the bluff.
Yes.
Yes, that's Market Street.
Okay. So downtown, right, as someone who lives in Waukegan, right now is not the most attractive place to go to or to visit.
And I'm glad you said not attractive. We need to say it's not attractive. It's not aesthetically pleasing to the eyes, even to us, let alone to somebody else.
Correct.
But Here is how we start this whole revitalization, not just of our downtown, but our community. One, in order for our downtown to come back, you got to have housing. Rush Street. Who's been to Rush Street over here? You've been to Rush Street, right? Many times. Have you been to Rush Street?
I don't believe so.
Michigan Avenue.
Oh, okay. Okay, Rush.
Rush, yes.
Oh, got it.
Yes.
Yep.
So most people thought the retail brought that back. What's above all of those retails?
Is it housing?
Boom.
Okay.
We need housing back in downtown Waukegan.
Yeah.
Take a look at if you look at the downtown right now, look at the retail, look above there. What is up there? Old apartments. 500 units. We need 500 units in our downtown. Then the retail will come back. They'll have a reason to come back.
That makes sense.
Lot of sense. Most people think, and it was the mindset of of some folks that bring retail, the people will follow. No. Retail left Waukegan back in the late 70s. So everything was downtown. Then it moved to the Belvedere Mall. You guys are too young for that.
I know about that.
So the Belvedere Mall,
I'm old enough for that.
the Belvedere Mall, all of the retail that was downtown moved to the Belvedere Mall. Then from the Belvedere Mall, where did it move to?
Fountain Square.
Lakers. Boom. Everything started moving west. Why did everything start moving west? Because people started moving west. So in order to bring people back into the downtown, you got to bring housing. You got to create it. Let's talk about Chicago. The only reason that people go to Chicago now, Navy Pier, where is it at? Off 94 or
Lakeshore Drive.
Lakeshore Drive. You still got to go east to get there. But if you're going into the city, Navy Pier is all the way to the lake. The Shed Aquarium all the way to the lake. The Bears all the way to the lake. They purposely did that to drive people in. We don't have that, but we do have a beach. What do I want at my beach? From the end of May to, and God knows I wish it would have been now, October. Can you imagine? October got 70 degrees.
Yeah.
I want activities. And right now, here's where our majority community comes. We were talking about it earlier. These Mexican bands, bring them. Every weekend, we want somebody down at Steiner Pavilion. You know the Steiner Pavilion, at the little area?
Yeah.
Butte, isn't it gorgeous?
I want to play there, man. Shit. I'm going to be there.
You follow me? You follow me?
Yeah,
we need activities. Here is what I want. I want them to be partnerships with the city. You do that. Don't worry about the police. Don't worry about the fire. We got that. You just take care of that. Now, I did that when I was mayor, and the current mayor criticized me. Oh, you're trying to take city funds. No. We want activities to bring people to downtown. That's we have to create things to bring people in. But we have to start with our own. And starting with our own, we got to have those kind of activities right there. We got to have Juneteenth. We need to have Scoop the Loot. Those are mainly Waukegan nights. Let them enjoy coming in and spending a little money out with their family, but it must be safe, and we'll do that. Our police department is great at that. Take it to the beach now. Mm-hmm. Every weekend something at the beach. Touch a truck. Old East versus West. La Michoacan versus whatever that breeds that competition.
Yep.
Our beach is the largest square mile beach on the North Shore. You didn't know that, did you?
I did not know.
3 linear miles that we have. I took an airplane ride, and the guy showed me. Yeah, I'm gonna show you why Waukegan is big as most beaches don't. They would love to have 3 linear miles of beach. We have that. We're gonna do something with that. That's what I mean by the Northern Navy Pier. Activities till we start building our housing, which would then breed retail, then bring people back downtown.
Yeah.
Housing at Market Street, housing over there, bike trail, yes. Investing in our infrastructure. I mean, aggressively investing in our infrastructure. Washington Street, a main artery to get into our community, and it looks that bad. Initially, when we started our comprehensive plan, Washington Street was supposed to be my next project when I was reelected in 2021. That should be the first project right there. Why? People get images as they ride through. If they see filth, they're going to think it's filth because they don't see anything else.
Mm-hmm. All the main roads that lead you from
They should be
94,
gorgeous.
from the highway,
That's right.
down to the pier.
Boom.
Those are all important. I mean, 120, right? Belvedere?
120, one Belvedere. So that's the vision.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and those are the goals. How do we get to those goals? That's the key. How do we get to those goals? So, I'm looking to be reelected on February 25th, 2025, to continue what we start, to learn from what are some of the mistakes that we have or some of the process that we have, and move forward, move past that. But more importantly, to love what you do. There's no better job for me but this one. I don't like it, I love it. I'm giving that same love that was given to me, roughly 30 years ago. We have a different dynamics here, a different demographics, but the same goals and vision. Mm-hmm. Safe neighborhoods, high quality education, career opportunities. That's the common denominator between black, white, Latino, male, female, LGBTQ, whatever space you're in.
That's what we're all looking for.
Those things are common denominator. Everybody wants the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give it. And over my next term, we're going to be very aggressive with that mindset. Building relationships with our national leaders, our state leaders, our county leaders, to bring the resources that's necessary for us to achieve those goals and objectives. And then looking for leaders to be able to backfill another 8 years. So that's going to be my goal and objective. And I want to thank you for certainly allowing me to come in, having an heart-to-heart talk about who Sam is and what he wants for his community, but more importantly, where we're going. Mm-hmm. But you have to be a part of that. Really, you do.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I want to thank you for taking some time today, coming in. Once I kind of did the number crunching and realized what it was, it kind of became something that just didn't sit right with me. And, we got a 7% turnout last time around. I was the 93% because I'll admit I wasn't there. Why? Because it's not that I didn't care. It's not that, it wasn't important to me. It's more so you don't know some of what you touched on. You're kind of, once you think it passed already because of the presidential election, you think it's over. And, I thought that this would be something great for you to come on, who better to have on. And I really want to thank you for your time today, coming on here, giving our audience a little bit of the
thank you
back, behind the scenes of
Sam
Cunningham.
It's called the backstory to the story.
The backstory to the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. Thank you though so much. Like I said, and I just want to remind everyone, it's important. Go out there, do it. Make sure you register, you get all that kind of done. Could you touch on some of these dates that are coming up so that everyone's aware?
Obviously we know November 6th. That's the national election. What's been advertised now is presidential election, but you have a lot of congressional, county, and city leader elections. November 6th. Then we're going to move directly over to the February 25th, 2025 primary, which I formally submitted my we call it the nominating papers, my petition papers, to be on the ballot. Thank you all those who were there. Yay. And if when we're successful in February 25th primary election, we move directly into it's called the April 2nd general election. And that's when I'm assuming the current mayor will be in, and there's a couple of others who are going to be running for the mayor. But we're expecting to be victorious. We only can be victorious if all of you go out and participate in this process. We understand there's going to be a drop-off. But here's what I've been saying all along. Turnout is the key. Black, white, Latina, male, female, LGBTQ, Republican, Democrat. Turnout, Waukegan. The turnout speaks for itself.
Yeah.
That's the first. Second, certainly I want you to support me, without question. And I'm not unapologetic about that. Support me, support the vision, support the person who's from here and who's going to care for here. We can't have outsiders coming into our community and trying to tell us what's good and what's bad. In your home, my mom used to tell us, if you allow somebody to come into your house and destroy it, I'm not going to get them, I'm going to get you. We were then like, why are you going to, we didn't do it. Yes, you did. You allowed them to come into our house, destroy it, and then leave. We must protect our home.
Yeah.
From Waukegan, for Waukegan. That's the premise of this. I am born and bred. You're going to see me at the grocery store. You're certainly going to see me at some of our eateries, at social events, because that's us. That's what we do, right?
Right.
But please, everybody, if you dislike me for a reason, certainly if you do like me, turning out the vote is the key. Come in, make your vote count. I know the national theme is your voice, your vote. I'm telling you, for Waukegan, from Waukegan, for Waukegan, that's your vote. Thank you very much. Thank both of you for allowing us to be here and let me know when the band's going to be in.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I'm going to close out with this. So, my first time I started eating Mexican food, first of all, I didn't know it was Mexican food. Jesse Ayala, you don't know Jesse Ayala. Jesse Ayala used to work at Pete's Fruit Market. So his wife used to bring him lunch every day. He would feed me and my cousin.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what they were. Corn tortillas, I had cornbread, kind of tasted. It was like, all right, whatever. So I'm eating and eating. I'm like, didn't really understand. So I went to college, and I started going to some of the, the chain Mexican restaurants. Like, man, this food is horrible.
Yeah, it's not like back home.
Oh, my
It's
goodness.
not what Jesse had.
No, it's not. So I'm like, what happened? So it's like my mom's home cooking. I said, Sam, you had his wife's home cooking. It's like, well, I didn't know, man. It was just good. So that was my initiation into authentic Mexican cooking. I'm talking about the mule. I'm the dark mule sauce now. So it was just, but it lets you know the culture that's here.
Yeah.
And as a black kid growing up, good food is good food, right?
Yeah. You think
And it's the seasoning. It's
yeah.
the seasoning. Yeah.
Yeah, you think it's the same everywhere, but you
Oh my goodness,
get out
man.
of the town and it's
Oh
like,
my God,
man.
man, and you can tell bad cooking. Yeah, and you know what? You go to some of these restaurants, you can tell who's in the back cooking just by the taste. Like, yeah, that's a grandma right there. That's a grandma's touch. Yeah. Oh man, it's just interesting to see now today. You see more people, particularly blacks, eating Mexican food. Now you third generation Latinas, man, y'all don't even eat no dang. You want lobsters and steak and lobsters. I'm serious. A lot of your third generations, they move away from their authentic cooking, except probably on Sunday, and go from there. What I say, man, have pride in whatever ethnic group you have, pride in that, and hold that history. It's so important. But that's the backbone of Waukegan, Illinois. That's why I say, from Waukegan, for Waukegan. You gotta have that. Keep it. It's important, not only to you, but to your children. Right? Thanks a lot. You guys take care. God bless. Hasta luego, papi.
Thank you guys. You heard it straight from Sam. Appreciate all of you and appreciate you, Sam, again.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
Yes.